Very good morning to you on this 8th day of September 2021. Happy Wednesday, wherever you tuned in to the Situation Room. We are Nduoko and Eric Latif. City Muga is away, he's out of the city today. He's taken a break, but he will be back shortly. Now, today's proverb, now that City is away, is a Maasai proverb. This week's proverbs are Maasai proverbs. The withered tree will destroy the healthy tree when it falls down. The withered tree will destroy the healthy tree when it falls down. Unlike yesterday's proverb said, the proverb does not translate itself.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's a Kikuyu one that goes the same way.
Like the withered
I'm
one,
not sure
or
that
the one
it's a
doesn't
proverb.
produce
Or,
itself?
our guest will tell us how that proverb goes. Our guest this hour is Laikipia Governor Ndiritu Muriithi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Eric.
Joining us
Good morning,
on
Ndu.
video link. Good morning, Ndu, he says.
Good morning, Governor.
You well?
How are you?
Very well.
I'm well.
It's good to see you.
Well, it's good to be with you.
We have an issue with your line, Governor. Let's see if that can be sorted. Some slight issue there with your line. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're slightly better. You had the proverb today.
I had the proverb that the proverb cannot interpret itself. Frankly, I'm a bit stumped.
Me too. I've been here since yesterday.
That was yesterday's proverb. It cannot interpret
Oh, that
itself.
was yesterday.
Yes.
So what was today?
Today's proverb: the withered tree will destroy the healthy tree when it falls down.
The withered tree will destroy the healthy tree when it falls down.
Yep.
Well, it sort of makes sense. If you look at some of the plants, for example, that are parasitic, they engulf the healthy tree until the healthy tree is no more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say something like that. I would say something perhaps like that. But what's your interpretation, Eric? What is the meaning of it?
As that withered tree is going down,
It will.
it destroys the healthy
Destroys
one.
the healthy one.
On its way down as well.
On its way down.
Yes.
On its way down, yeah.
Intentionally or otherwise.
Yes, exactly. Stationary or otherwise.
I was saying you're going to help us with there's a Kikuyu translation of this. I'm not sure whether that's a proverb. Shunago rokomo. A
What?
proverb does not translate itself.
Shunago.
Rokomo kemenyi akamenya ikiunuo.
My
that for-
goodness,
for
that
doesn't-
is way deeper than the Kikuyu out here in Laikipia. That is way deep.
Right. It basically just says the same thing. You will not be told directly what you need to be told. You'll just read the signs.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's happening in Laikipia, Governor.
Indeed.
Your county has become the focus of insecurity in recent days. It's even made the National Security Council be summoned by the president for a sitting to discuss especially insecurity in Laikipia, in parts of Laikipia County. Parts of Laikipia County have been declared a security zone. A curfew has been imposed in this area. A security operation has been launched. And we have seen death, destruction of property, and displacement of people. From even before you tell us what's happening today, what's been happening in the last couple of days in parts of Laikipia?
Well, you see, Eric, it's not really admitting. What I would say is that matters have escalated last week. But the president, for example, personnel goes back 6 months ago, primarily in the Laikipia data for government. This is the government branch. As you know, it's a reasonably wide state of over 100,000. And security personnel have been in that area for more than 6 months. These had followed a state of attack in areas just slightly south of this place, an area called Kamwenje, an area called Muthui,
Governor, sorry to interrupt you. I think we have a problem with a telephone link. Let's just see if we can call you back and see whether we get a clearer link. Stay on. Just speak to John. We are having on the line is Governor Ndiritu Muriithi, the governor of Laikipia County. Remember, Laikipia is where we are seeing all this insecurity. Laikipia North, Laikipia West now in Olmoran, where a security operation has been launched by the government. Yesterday, we saw the attack that was launched there where a school was torched. And George Natembeya, the regional commissioner, was in the area and he was supervising this operation. And he says he will be back there and they'll have to see what happens. The National Security Council has declared this security zone, imposed a dusk to dawn curfew, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and also has instructed leadership of the area who have illegally taken their animals to this particular area. And this is politicians, local leaders, and civil servants who have illegally taken their animals to this area to get the animals out. And they've been given 48 hours to do this. So the question that you ask yourself is, so why have they been given the 48 hours? What happens in the meantime? What was happening yesterday? Do we have enough deployment of security officers into the area? So this is what we want to understand as we continue the conversation. Governor Ndiritu Muriithi is on the line. Let's see if this line is clearer, Governor.
Eric, I can hear you as well.
Yeah, this is better. So you were explaining what's been happening.
I was explaining that it is a long-running problem.
Yes.
What you're seeing in the last 1 week is an escalation of issues. But the insecurity on my boundary, the Laikipia boundary with Baringo, has been ongoing for many, many months now. Primarily caused by bandits from Tiati, and security personnel have been at the Cookie Ranch for more than 6 months. But the effectiveness of that operation is a bit in doubt. And now, what happens in conflict, I think, is that the cocktail just becomes more complicated. Now, you spoke to this issue of livestock that is believed to be owned by senior people and is in a Cookie Ranch. I would say that is one slice of the problem. And what that is doing is that then decision makers are conflicted. The orders are issued, but they're not being followed properly on the ground because some of the decision makers themselves are conflicted. So that is one set of issues. The second set of issues is that for maybe 15 months now, Pokot bandits have been raiding inside Cookie's Ranch and areas south of Cookie's Ranch. This is Dindeka, Gerega ward. And in fact, even on the Baringo side, where the Tugen live, and the Tugen had been pushed southwards by the same bandits. So that's another set of problems. Then more recently, there is drought. So Samburu men had driven their cattle all the way down into Laikipia and part of Baringo, as well as Pokot. And that creates now a cocktail just ripe for conflict as these animals are being moved up and down. And then the fourth set of issues is what I explained, that there was an immediate spark of violence last week, which related to two persons of Pokot ethnicity who were taken by unknown persons from the Olmoran market. And the Pokot then retaliated by retreating to Amaya, which is on the Baringo side, and abducting two Kikuyus. And following to that abduction, and by the way, the whereabouts of these two persons, or actually of all four, the two who had been taken from Pokot side and the two were taken by Pokot from the Kikuyu side, their whereabouts remain unknown. Now, that led to the killings that happened Thursday into Friday, and into, in fact, Saturday morning. And, of course, the banning of houses, which is quite unusual, even in terms of this long-running conflict. We have not seen the banning of houses until just this last week.
Right. It just seems, Governor, that all of this that has been happening for the longest period, I mean, you talk about 15 months, we're talking about, we saw some of these conflicts happening 5 years ago. In this same area, along the same lines of what you've been talking about, it has been happening for a very long time. And there are those, even within security forces, who will be able to replay the happenings event by event, cause by cause. So it would appear as though, on one side, everybody knows exactly what's going on. Everybody knows who is perpetuating these things, but then is reluctant to do something about it.
Well, absolutely. We all the political leaders of Laikipia, I think yesterday and the day before, we spoke rather strongly on this issue, because we feel that, firstly, let's talk about the immediate and then the long term. Look, it is inconceivable that a small bands or small groups of bandits can ban houses while the security personnel are in the area.
Yep.
Yesterday, we were all on the ground when some bandits were able to get to a classroom and torch it. Now, even though we were able to put out the fire in a particular classroom, so that, the right reporting really is not that the Muriithi school was burned to the ground. One classroom was burned, and even then the classroom is still standing. We were able to put out the fire. But the real issue is that the fact that the bandits can enter that school and set fire in that classroom, whereas security personnel, we are all milling around, they have, armored personnel carriers and things of that kind. There are helicopters in the scene and so on. It's a bit, and what the citizens are asking us, Eric, is this: how many bandits have we captured?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because they can see when we are reporting that several citizens have been killed, several police officers have been killed. So they ask us, how many bandits have you killed? How many have you captured? And we have nothing to say for ourselves.
Are you saying nobody has been arrested?
Yeah, no one has been arrested. Nobody has been apprehended.
Not a single bandit has been apprehended.
And how do the security bosses explain this? Is it because these bandits are too tough, too sharp? What is it?
They have no real explanation, Eric, and without really defaming people by naming them, but all the many senior security personnel are on the ground as we speak now.
Yeah.
We haven't managed to they don't have an explanation. But there is also, my view, a timid reaction. It's like we are in a defensive posture. Yeah, we are reacting to what the bandits are doing instead of taking the fight to them.
Yeah.
Right.
On Monday, I really felt upset because myself and just like 3 of officers who attached to me, we were able to spot the bandits, and we could not persuade the police commanders to reinforce us so that we can take action.
Why?
And then, then later, about 2 hours later, the bandits torched the house.
Okay, just describe that scene as you saw it. When you say that you were able to identify and see the bandits, describe that. What is it? How are they dressed? How did you tell that these are bandits?
You see, okay, 2 things. Firstly, is the fact that they are youthful fellows. They are carrying AK-47. So when I went to Kisindogo, which is the place where they had burned some houses, on Monday, we could see them in the distance. And you can see we are not spying on one another, what's the word I want to see? We are monitoring one another.
Yeah.
So you can see they are trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah.
And they are darting up and down in the countryside, inside certain bushes there. And we are ourselves on the road past that Kisindogo. And literally, 2 hours later, about 500 meters from where we had seen these individuals, a homestead was torched. Yeah. And I cannot help but, yes, Eric.
Sorry, I just want to just finish and then I'll ask the question.
Yeah, so, I cannot help but feel a bit disappointed with the reaction, particularly of the police who were on the ground on that day.
Yeah.
Because we really could have done something that would have prevented the torching of that homestead.
Yesterday's case, where you were there and, the senior security and administration officers from the region, the county and the region were on the ground. What was happening? What was that event? What was the function that George Natembeya had come to attend?
I don't think he had come to a function as such. Perhaps he had come to see that, the police personnel are doing what they're supposed to do and perhaps reassure the public. Now, as he drove into town and around that Kisindogo, I was, a few kilometers away from there at Survey, because with the education officials who are looking at the schools that we need to beef up, to post police officers to create confidence. Then we got information that this thing was happening at the school. And yes, officers were there literally within minutes. Even in the video clips, you can see livestock being driven away.
Yeah.
But frankly, you also see like the officers are shooting in the air. So it doesn't look a very...
The report here indicates that there was a 1-hour engagement between the security forces and the armed bandits. Were there casualties? Were there any arrests that was made? Anything?
There were no arrests that were made. And I would say an hour is more than what we witnessed. There was a brief engagement.
Okay.
But there were no casualties on either side.
I'm conflicted here because I'm just putting the pieces together of what you're saying, and then saying that as those security forces or whatever were shooting in the air were not really zeroing in on a target in any way, shape or form. And then hearing that, then putting this against the backdrop that this has been the situation for the longest time. So again, there is a reluctance to quell this violence. There is a reluctance to actually get to the core of this problem. Could this then give way to the rife speculation that these issues are political and that there is someone behind them fueling these attacks, even flying in the face of whatever kind of security can be offered up?
We cannot help but go in that direction. If you look at the statement itself from the Minister for Interior that he made on the night he declared curfew, he spoke to the point of senior politicians and government officers who he says have livestock inside that ranch. And he believes, and I think his senior officers believe, that is part of the reason why the response is timid. That there are people within the system who then are able to, if you will, interfere with the way that the matter is being handled. And we all can see that the response is not vigorous enough, and it is not yielding any result. So we cannot help but think like that. Now, our expectation is that perhaps the minister looks at the command structure, in the whole security operation, and trying to figure out why is it not as effective. It comes down to a simple thing Eric and Odu. How many bandits have we captured? How many have we killed?
Yeah.
Yet they are killing officers and they are killing civilians.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
We had a conversation with the MP for Laikipia North, Sarah Korere, a couple of weeks ago, discussing the same issue, and she was giving us the experience of what was happening on the ground in Laikipia North. She joins us on the line also, MP Sarah Korere. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. You also have on the line the governor of Laikipia, Ndiritu Muriithi. You can say hello to him.
Hi, Governor. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mheshimiwa. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Now,
Yeah.
Ms. Korere, what we were discussing with you when you were here last time was the same issue of insecurity and calling on the government and the security agencies to take action. Weeks later, no action has been taken in terms of apprehending or stopping the violence, but we've seen words and action in terms of meeting and declarations from the national government. Are you happy with what you see on the ground?
Oh my God. I'm so disappointed. I'm frustrated. I'm desperate. Actually, what we are seeing on the ground is a lot of laxity from our security officers and a lot of lethargy, if I may say.
And when you look at it from, see, the top security organ, the National Security Council, met under the chairmanship of the president to discuss this particular situation, and they've imposed the curfew. They have also declared this a security zone, and security operation has been launched. Why would you, even what the governor is telling us, the people on the ground are asking, so why are there no arrests? Why is there no disarmament that's taken place so far? From your perspective, Mheshimiwa Korere, why is this not happening?
Well, I would say why it's not happening. It's because our security agencies on the ground are not giving the right information to, those people in Nairobi. But I'm sure now from the wide coverage, I'm sure even the president now is getting the real thing on what is happening on the ground. Like if I may just give you an example of what happened in Muriithi yesterday. We actually, the three of us, myself, the senator, and the MP for Kepia West, we actually arrived at the scene where the school was torched before Natembea, who was just, he was in the same center with us. And we kept on telling him, Mheshimiwa, the bandits are torching a school. Can we do something? And Natembea taking his sweet time. I don't know what kind of meetings he was doing. And by the time we went to the school, and we thought probably there was some exchange for like 30 minutes between the police and the bandits. And then from nowhere, the bandits started shooting us from behind.
Okay, so Mheshimiwa, I'm just, and I've said the same thing just now to Governor, and I want to ask again here. If we are seeing a situation like this, very clear that there is reluctance to do something about a situation that is happening right in front of our eyes, then are we saying that that the security agents know who is behind this but don't want to do anything about it?
Just like my governors alluded to, the press release that was released by the cabinet secretary, he want senior politicians with cattle in Laikipia Nature Conservancy, government officers, and other very senior people to move their cattle. And so, you don't need rocket science to know what is happening. The bullets those bandits are using, they don't get it for free. It's bought. And they're very expensive.
Sure.
And they're, like yesterday, they fired like more than 100 bullets within 20 minutes. And they're firing these bullets every night, every day. Who is supplying these bullets to them? Of course, the cattle barons, the owners of those cattle. These are not small men. So I want to believe from where I sit that even some government agencies are behind this. They are in bed with the bandits.
If I could maybe just add, Eric.
Yes, go ahead.
I think you had George, the regional commissioner, Natembea, when he was addressing press yesterday, speaking to the kind of weaponry that the bandits have. And he spoke of one particular kind of weapon, M16, which is not really a very common weapon. You know, so the points we are making to you are the same. That look, the minister himself says, senior politicians, senior officers, and so on, to which we assume he knows them by name. And yes, and we then expect some action. We were also a bit disappointed yesterday with a meeting that was taking place there in the office of the president in Harambee House. Because the individuals who seem to have been invited to that meeting, I would think are the same ones he is talking about. So why is he having a parley with them? You know, so there are some really serious questions that require answering. And for a moment, if you allow, Eric, I think we should also talk about the long term. What should be happening in the long term? In the long term,
yes. I'd like us to come to that after this break. Let's take a quick break. In the Situation Room today is Eric Latif Nduoko. CT Muga Tulitulitu is asking, where is CT? CT has taken some time off. It's a break, just a couple of days off. He'll be back shortly. On Monday, the president chaired the National Security Council, and they were discussing the security situation in parts of Laikipia County, especially in the Laikipia Nature Conservancy and its environs. We know that there have been incidences of insecurity, displacement of people, deaths, and also torching of people's houses and property. During the meeting, according to Fred Matiang'i, the CS, the National Security Council noted that the area has continued to witness insecurity as a result of rampant cattle rustling arising from competition for water and pastures, as well as a surge in illegal gun ownership, which has escalated the violence. Given the deteriorating situation in the county, the National Security Council, chaired by the President, made the following directives, issued these directives, three of them. One, that the Laikipia Nature Conservancy and the environs are immediately declared a disturbed area and therefore a security operation zone. Two, a security operation commences immediately to flush out all the illegal occupants of the Laikipia Nature Conservancy and its environs with a dusk to dawn curfew imposed 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And number three, all leaders, including politicians, businessmen, public officers, and others who have illegally moved their livestock into the conflict zone, to remove them from there within the next 48 hours. A dusk to dawn curfew was declared immediately. A security operation was ordered immediately. Those who have moved their cattle were given 2 days to move them out. Now, who is the National Security Council? It basically is the top organ formed by the Constitution to discuss and look at matters of security in the country. Who sits in it? One, the head of Kenya's Defense Forces, the Chief of Defense Forces. The head of Kenya's Police, the Inspector General of Police. The head of Kenya's Intelligence, that's the Director General of the National Intelligence Service. Their civil supervisors, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Interior, the Cabinet Secretary for Defense, the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, the Attorney General, and the political leadership of the country, the President and the Deputy President. So these are serious people who sit in a room and they discuss security in an issue. Now, I want to come back to what we were discussing with Governor Ndiritu Muriithi and the MP for Laikipia North, Sarah Korere, because we are discussing this issue. First of all, as we now go into looking at what needs to happen in the future, do you agree with the assessment that was made by the National Security Council that this violence and insecurity in the area is arising from what they said, and I quote them verbatim, competition for water and pastures, as well as a surge in illegal gun ownership in the area? Are those the two main reasons why we have insecurity? Let's start with you, Governor.
Well, Eric, let me ask you, what does the torching of houses got to do with pasture?
I don't see the link.
Where is the link? I mean, I'm a layman here, Eric, but where is the link between a school or somebody's house and pasture.
I don't see the link myself.
I don't see it. There are a couple of other things I really want us to put on the table, Eric. The first one is this. It's okay to declare a curfew, but do you really think these bandits are following that curfew?
It's inconsequential to them, it would appear.
I think they are, Governor. I think they are now attacking during the day. So they are observing the curfew.
The curfew is inconsequential.
Yeah.
Secondly, Eric, and I've had occasion to discuss this with Dr. Matiang'i.
Yep.
There's a policy about the police reserve that Dr. Matiang'i instituted when he came into office in the security docket, which was that he believed we should be de-escalating, we should not be adding police reserve. Now, what happened is that the law-abiding fellows of Laikipia, retimed the weaponry that had been issued to the police reserve. So we are sitting ducks. The bandits did not obviously give up their arms, but we now, that's the equivalent of all the way from Kepia ward, now Olmoran ward, where is the center of issues right now, as well as further north in Consortium. The law-abiding citizens returned this weapon. And I know government, we had actually trained the Kepia so that we could beef up security. But now we are sitting ducks because we have no weaponry, we have no equipment.
Yeah.
So I think the long and the short of it is that there is more beyond the competition of pasture. And we really would have urged the National Security Council to reconsider that decision of denying us KPR, because then we have no ability to defend ourselves.
Sure.
And the bandits have weapons.
That's very true. MP Sarah Korere, do you agree with what the governor is saying? And in your own interpretation of this situation, what is escalating it?
Well, I agree with what my governor is saying, and I totally want to disagree with the findings of these other men in NSAC. I say men because I'm sure there's no woman in that city.
There are two women. There's
oh really?
The Cabinet Secretary for Defense and Foreign Affairs.
Yes. Okay, I want to disagree with what they are saying, because competition for pasture and water is just a narrative. It's neither here nor there. And why I say this is because, number one, if these people are looking for pasture and water, assuming that where they come from there is no pasture and water, then why will they come steal our cows and goats? Where are they taking them? I mean, if it's really water and pastures they're looking for, why would they kill people? Then recently they've been touching houses, and now they are touching schools. And from where I see, when they touch public institutions, it is a way of ensuring that these people don't come back to settle in their farms. Because once you touch a school, then these people will be forced to look for schools elsewhere to take their children. So that's an assurance for the bandits that these people are not coming back here. So I wouldn't really buy that idea that there is competition for pasture. My governor can confirm this.
Right.
Parts of Laikipia, North, especially Mugogodo, is actually the hardest hit by drought. And 90% of the occupants are pastoralists, but none of them is causing mayhem to their neighbors, and they neighbor big ranches like Loldaiga, or Jogi, or Lenaisho, but there is no issues there. So actually the contributing issue is illegal firearms. Now people feel like, we can walk on top of your heads and do whatever we want because we are a government unto ourselves.
So, Mheshimiwa Korere, it's obvious that these bandits, as they are being called, are not fighting, or they are not perpetrating this violence on their own. Who is?
I said that earlier, and I will say it again. If you go by what the minister is saying, and if you go by the people who we know, they met yesterday at Harambe House, who are purportedly the owners of, those cattle. So why would a very senior civil servant move his cattle illegally into a private land? This is an educated fellow. It's not the pastoralists from the bushes. We say they're ignorant. Why would a politician, a person who knows that private property is private property and it should be protected, why would they move their cattle illegally into those ranches? And then the people who are with these cattle are actually moving them there by the barrel of the gun. Then who is providing them with these guns? To protect which cows? And who is providing them with the ammunition? This is something that anybody can see very clearly.
So are we saying, because then we can all be, everybody who's in this conversation can be held to some kind of blame. If you're saying, Mheshimiwa, that you know who it is, are we afraid to say we know who it is? We say we know who it is. Everybody knows who it is, but it's some unspoken thing that nobody wants to come out and say, look, these are the individuals. This is who it is. These are the reasons why Kenyans' lives are being lost on a daily basis, because that is what is happening here. It's not just a classroom being burned down. It's lives and livelihoods being lost. It's houses, 50, what was it the other day? 50 to 100 homes being torched in a single day. Today, we don't know. It could get worse. But we say that we know the names of these individuals who are doing or perpetrating these things, but we're keeping those cards to our chest. For what reason?
Well, I can only say this. We have given government agencies enough information, because even other systems have. But, we also feel we are exposing ourselves. And from where I sit, and my governor can confirm from the other side, actually, if there is one person in Laikipia whose head has a price tag on it, it's me. For one simple reason, that I've mobilized all Laikipians, regardless of their ethnic background, and I've brought people together. And for the last 4 years, I've worked so hard, to make sure that we facilitate those people who run away from their farms to.
Governor Muriithi, I'm like a dog with a bone on this, but so there seems to be then apprehension or fear to even name names of individuals who might be behind this. What would be the problem with that? Fear of even, an individual's life being in danger. You've heard what MP Korere has said just now. There's a price tag on her head as well for how verbose she's been about this. It seems that it's more than just bandits.
Yeah. Yes, I think Udu, that the honourable member and all of us, obviously in naming persons exercise a certain amount of restraint, because the information we have generally also needs to be corroborated and so on. But there can be no doubt in your mind, Udu, that Tiati, for example, the constituency Tiati has remained a major source, and repeatedly intelligence information shows that resources, including perhaps CDF and other resources, are used in the process of arming people. There can be no doubt that previous member of Laikipia North had a lot to do with the challenges we were having there. A lot of information is available to the security agencies. Now, if you're looking for specific names, you should look to a meeting that took place in OP yesterday. Just yesterday. And ask the senior guys in OP, why were they meeting with those people? Yeah, because there was a meeting involving several individuals, quite a number of them senior persons.
Senior persons in government.
Ones we are alluding to. And you should ask Daktari, or the two Daktaris who run Interior, about that. And why is it that action never seems able to be taken? We had been assured going back a year and a half ago that some of these individuals would be arrested and arraigned in court. But it never happened.
They're still being welcomed into Harambee House for meetings.
So the bigger question to ask is who vetoed the arrest of some of these political leaders? So there are some questions you may need to go higher than our pay grade, I think.
Sure.
Looking into the future then, Governor, what needs to happen so that we can have long-lasting security and peace and harmonious coexistence of people in all constituencies and wards of Laikipia?
My view is, and we have it on paper jointly, in fact, with Dr. Matiang'i and his team, we need to see significant investment in Laikipia North and also into Tiati and Samburu. So, for instance, if you look just today, why wouldn't the road from Suguta Mugi through Churo to Tangle Bay and Roruk, why shouldn't that be a priority route to be improved to bitumen standards today as we speak?
How many kilometers is it?
Why wouldn't the road from Olmoran through Salve, Magadi, to Ronyek, why wouldn't we be improving that to bitumen standards as we speak? If you look at the centers themselves, if you look at Suguta, if you look at Churo, if you look at Tangle Bay, if you look at Roruk, in the same way we are investing in Kenya Urban Support Program in other towns, like if you go to Muriithi now, you'll find a vibrant town that is able to create jobs. We must be doing this kind of thing in order to change the long-term aspects of these areas.
Yeah.
And this program, in fact, we have an immediate program costed at about 7 billion. That we put on the table going back 4 or 5 months ago. And this is what we ought really to be doing. If you look in other parts of Laikipia North, if you look at centers like say Doldol, if you look at Lewaso, if you look at Kemanju, we need to, as government at both levels, to put our money where our mouth is and invest significantly in these spaces in order to create an economic environment that can create jobs.
How much investment, how much of that have you put in place as governor of Laikipia in the last 4 years that you've been governor?
Well, firstly to tell you that we have, as we speak, 4 counties raised nearly 1 billion shillings, about 600 million from the European Union and 400 million from our own resources, which we were using, in fact, to manage the current circumstance of drought. If you look in Sosian, if you look at in Olmoran, for example, you will find that this is where we are focused in our own road improvement program. So most of our equipment for making rural roads and in fact at the moment in Olmoran, trying to make sure that, as I say, we put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
But what we need is also for the national government to come to the table.
Looking at the number of people who are now currently facing there's a humanitarian issue unfolding. People have been displaced. They don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have shelter. What is the county government of Laikipia doing to help those that have been affected by this insecurity?
Right now, Eric, about 100 people are sheltered at our polytechnic in Olmoran. And we are providing them with beddings and food and so on. These are families whose houses were burned. Another similar number are being supported at the Catholic Mission. Now, those ones, the houses are not burned, but because of the nature of the thing, they are not able to stay, obviously, in their homes at night.
Yeah.
And that's the same case with the Deliverance Church. We are just waiting on the security guys to agree, but we have already made up our mind to rebuild those houses for those families. And my teams and I were out assessing in the areas we could access yesterday. And we expect in the next day or two actually to begin rebuilding houses so that families can proceed. We also yesterday went through the various primary and secondary schools and came to some agreement with the police service in terms of deployment and things like that. And I'm just going back into Morambi just now to follow up that those things are happening.
Okay. As we conclude the conversation, MP Sarah Korere, what needs to happen in the coming days and weeks so that the people of Laikipia, and especially your constituents in Laikipia North, can feel safe and secure?
Well, I think the immediate thing now is to clear the area, like to seriously flush out these criminals. And because Laikipia Ranching Nature Conservancy has become the hideout for these criminals, unless they completely, flush out these people from Laikipia Nature Conservancy, at the same time make sure that they secure and all the environs of Laikipia Nature Conservancy. This is the whole of Olmoran Division, so that at least people can be facilitated to move back to their homes, because as we mentioned, there are people now camping at the Catholic Mission in Olmoran, there are people camping at the Deliverance Church, there are people at the Polytechnic. So all homes are deserted, 6 schools are closed down, and these are Kenyan children. They will sit the same examination with a child who is going to school every morning in Nanyuki, Nyahururu, and Nairobi, and elsewhere. Sure. So we need to see the government to do everything possible to first make sure that normalcy is restored and these people are able to go back to their homes and children are able to go back to school.
Thank you very much. Governor Ndiritu Muriithi, Governor of Laikipia County, and MP for Laikipia North, Sarah Korere. Asanteni sana for joining us this morning. And as you continue dealing with this issue on the ground, we wish you all the best, together with the constituents of Laikipia County. Asanteni.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.